1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Wellness Week Live, Magnus, me. We're talking today about I guess what's the category?
Anthony.
What's that?
I'm just saying, Anthony, listen to
Thanks,
him.
bro. And by the way, we're just two friends talking. We're not giving any medical advice or legal advice or anything like that. I gotta always do the disclaimer. America, baby. It's funny. I was just telling a friend of mine. There's an old saying. Here's the difference between China and America. America's run by lawyers. China is run by engineers. So, by the fact that I have to give a disclaimer that we're only friends talking, it's insane. Anyways, but hey, like and subscribe, people. Let's go. Let's do it. By the way, we get about a new subscriber every day. So we're climbing the ranks, and we did 100th show. We're closing in on 200. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so today I want to talk about, I guess, nutritional habits or eating habits. And so we're going to compare and what is a vegan versus a vegetarian versus a pescatarian versus a carnivore or a keto diet. You hear all these diets and types of ways to eat. And hey, you got to do what works for you, people. But Magnus, you're a nutritionist and a trainer. So let's start off with vegan, okay, which a lot of people confuse and conflate vegan with vegetarian.
Yes.
So, okay, what is a vegan versus a vegetarian, Magnus?
So the thing is, there are a lot of, should we say, sub-genres here too. So we're looking at the bigger picture. So we probably, like, someone's gonna say, "Oh, you're completely wrong because that." Yes, there's many different ways and many ways of looking at it. Vegan is basically you're looking at a plant-based diet, and some people add in certain things, like they actually eat eggs, milk, things like that, but like basically no living creatures.
Right, but yeah, so a real hardcore vegan. I have a friend of mine who's a vegan, and you had no milk, nothing from an animal, no animal or nothing that came from an animal. Now, people, this is not the topic we're talking about, but the reason why they would do that is either moral or just for health, one of those two. But anyways, so vegans like.
But again, vegan is basically all plant-based. They're like nothing. So while you're looking at vegetarians, like that's more, you're not eating meat, but you can eat certain animal products.
Right, maybe like an egg, possibly.
So cheese, certain things like that. So some dairy products and some eggs.
Right.
And then then you have people cutting out certain things and adding certain things and things like that. I mean, there's also nowadays like the flexitarians, which are basically mostly you're eating basically a plant-based diet, but you're eating meat once in a while. So
that sounds like me.
So again, it's give or take, but mostly of your calories should be plant-based in these kinds of diet, which sometimes is hard for, like, whenever you cut out certain things in a diet, you usually end up, like, long term might end up with problems. So for instance, B12, magnesium.
You gotta know what you're doing. Maybe talk to a nutritionist or like yourself, or a dietitian, or I wouldn't talk to your doctor about nutrition. That's almost laughable. But because you hit on something. If you don't read up and get educated, you might start getting deficient in certain things. So you have to know how to patch that. There are certain ways to get the nutrition that you need without maybe eating meat per se or eating whatever. But so you got to be careful. Anyways, and then what about pescatarian?
Pescatarian, again, you cut out meat, but you eat like fish. Water-based. So we're talking about fish and seafood.
Right.
So, so basically, like, what's like, you and still a lot of plants and vegetables, fruits, of course, too. So
fruits are in there, nuts. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think like pescatarian. I kind of like that. I think that's a pretty good um, healthy medium that you're still eating some type of animal product.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like the only thing that people need to worry about a little bit if they're eating a lot of
The mercury and heavy metals.
yeah, big fish. Yeah, exactly. Because bioaccumulation, so you might have issues with heavy metals.
Right.
So that is something that you might have to look at a little bit more. Focus more on eating smaller fish like sardines and those things.
Right.
But
Now,
it's go ahead.
no, go ahead. You're going to say, because I was going to go on to the next one, but
Yeah, no, I was just saying again. This is something that you need to think of if you're going to start it and look at it like basically the bigger picture and also go and get tested, like do blood works
right.
and see how
And
things
go
differ.
slow. Don't just
Yes.
do everything hardcore one day.
Yeah.
What about, okay, now you have carnivore, which I think a lot of us know this, and this is a big keto thing kind of so carnivore is.
Yeah. Carnivore is basically you only eating animal products. So it's mostly meat.
Right.
And then you add in some dairy, you have some eggs, things like that. But it's basically like meat, and you cutting out basically all greens and vegetables. Like like you might have like you might use a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Like oregano, stuff like that.
Right. Spices or whatever, right?
Yeah, but we have more for flavor. But basically, what they're talking about is that plants have certain defense toxins in them that are not good for us. And I think like there's not much a lot of like evidence data on it yet, so I haven't done a lot a ton of research on it.
Right.
And then especially long term too.
See, now this makes me laugh because it's like, right, especially with, I mean, you tell me what you think. If I'm going to lean, and I do lean more towards the greens and vegetarianism, I do have a little bit of meat, but to go and be like, right, all meat, like again, like that one dude on the internet, oh, meat all day, I beat my meat all day, whatever. But my thing is like, dude, if you look at who lives the healthiest lives on earth and the longest lives on earth, that the blue zones. And what are the blue zones? Fish, vegetables, and nuts.
Yeah,
that's it. Like the proof is right there. You don't even have to read a study. Just look at the earth, and that's Japan and Greece, and those are the people living the longest, healthiest lives. So I tried to mimic that.
One thing that I think that people need to understand too, like don't like when it comes to like carnivore, like don't just eat like red meat. There's I mean you see like chicken, fish, and when it comes down to, and this is where a lot of people go wrong, is that yes, you probably not have to include intestine meats in it too, due to the fact that those are the organs that holds a lot of nutrients, and we're not just talking protein here. I mean, you need plenty of other things to work around. And I mean, there's a lot of people, like individuals, that say that it's done wonders for them too. So I'm like, yes, I think it might be like for a short-term solution that you use it for certain things. Like you might have issues with high inflammation, and that like if you basically have you're sensitive to certain things that are in a lot of plant-based food that might cause issues. Yes, but it usually comes down to that you've been probably eating poor food quality to start.
Right. Any change would have been better. Right. If you're living on candy and fried foods, well, if you cut that out and eat celery, you're going to be winning. I mean, whatever.
Yeah. And then so yeah, I'm going to add something, but I'll add it at the end instead when we're talking, because we were supposed to talk about keto too, right?
Well, so we're right. So we're talking about the meat, which meat is essentially the keto diet.
Yeah. So keto is a little bit more. Keto has a little bit more. It's basically keto is low carb, high fat, and LCHF is also another word for it. Atkins is kind of a part of the keto subgroups too. The thing is that you basically, most of your energy is coming from fat. So you're not eating, like usually we're talking about 5% and less is coming from carbohydrates, and then around 20 to like, it's usually like, it's pretty low actually if we're talking about true keto. So about 20% comes from protein and the rest is fat. That means like 75, no, 75%, right? 75% is coming from fat. So you're eating a lot of fat. The thing is, a lot of people, what they don't understand, so if you stop eating carbohydrates as your biggest energy source, which most of us are eating nowadays, and start eating fat instead, yes, you will not have a lot of muscle glycogen and things like that that binds water, that makes us like fluffy and maybe not feeling good in those regards, and also increase inflammation and things like that. But if you're burning a lot of fat, you actually your body is still gonna keep a lot of fat on it as a resource. And I think that a lot of people don't really understand how the biochemistry works.
Right.
So that's a thing. Another thing is like a lot of people have a hard time eating that much fat too. So. Right.
Again, you got to go slow, and I would say balance is the way. I always say God made versus man made. Stay away from packaged goods and stuff that's going to be,
I'm sorry to say it, but I'm like, for whatever people say, oh, we made so much, like everything is perfect when I do it and things like that. I'm more kind of a balanced person too, because it's easier to keep in a long run.
Oh yeah.
Because cutting out like a whole macronutrient that you're talking about, like either cutting out carbs, cutting out fat, or anything in between there's a risk that you will have, like you will get malnourished over time, and you will have deficiencies in it, which causes a lot of problem. The thing is though, so why people usually say, oh, I'm feeling so good, I'm doing so much better. It's something, whenever you're changing your diet, basically, and you basically haven't been on a real diet before, like, we're talking about Western American diet, you have the honeymoon phase, because all of a sudden you start looking into what you're actually eating and you start making change. So this change, whatever it is going to be better than what you used to do. So of course you're going to start feeling better. So, but the problem is that this might be just a short-term like fix, and then after a while you start, I'm starting to like get tired and feeling heavy, and I'm not getting the right nutrients and things like that, and then we start causing problems.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, again, to your point, I think that if anybody's going to cut anything out, cut soda out, cut beer out, cut candy out.
Start cutting processed food out. Like,
your body won't miss that.
For whole food and food qualities, once you start looking at those things, you actually like that is a big step in the more like healthier direction. I'm not going to say it's the right direction, because some people will, I just want to drink soda, and I want to eat like ice cream and donuts. That's the only thing that I want to eat. Okay, but you're probably going to end up like feeling sick and having issues down the road too.
Right. I'm just saying, if you were going to cut out anything, start off with all the processed, foods, all the bagged shipped foods, all that stuff, fried stuff, but once you got that out of the way, then I think it gets a little bit murky. And to your point, you have to research and talk to people and really go slow about, well, is it pescatarian, vegan, vegetarian, keto? Like, what is the best, or leaning towards what is, the best for individual person? I think that's where it gets maybe a little bit, quote unquote, dangerous or kind of gray area. Because I think we all know, right? Soda is bad. We know that. But okay.
Yeah, I mean, like when it comes to diet and training, there's a funny saying that I agree upon basically 100%. Everything works until it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? So a thing or two, and here's another thing is that a lot of people, they don't look at things long term. This is like they're searching for a short term.
I got to fit into the wedding dress, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and instead of like looking for, okay, what am I able to do for the rest of my life? So I always ask people. A lot of people have been asking, "Oh, what do you think about the keto diet?" I'm like, yeah, no, it's perfect if you can like stick to it. The problem is, I ask people, are you planning on not eating any carbs for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane.
And most people say no. Okay, then it might not be a long-term.
Oh, but we do need carbohydrates, right? Just not from cake and bread. We need them from vegetables. I mean, right? I mean, you can't live a life with zero carbs. I don't know. You tell me.
You can definitely do that.
Yeah, but
you can definitely do that because of that's what the keto diet is about. That you use keto, you use keto groups instead, as that basically function as carbohydrates for you. So uses for your brain and things like that. Again, I'm not like.
I guess they would cite the Eskimos, right?
Exactly.
Of the North Pole. There's no vegetables. It's all fish and meat, and they've been living like that for thousands of years.
Yeah. But again, that's why they also eat like a lot of intestine food, because they have those nutrients that.
Which is funny because they're getting carbs anyways, really.
Yeah.
Right.
Or at least they're getting the nutrients through it in some way or form too. And I think that and it's fine. And I think that the problem is nowadays diets have become almost like a religious group.
Oh yeah.
It's very much like it's us against the other, and mine is the best and whatnot. I'm like, well, that's not true. I mean, and this might change throughout your life too. Like sometimes, well, I want to go on a keto diet and be strict to keto or carnivore or vegetarian or vegan or pescatarian, whatever. But we can learn a lot from the different groups, and it's the same thing with training. We can learn a lot. A powerlifter can learn something from basically a CrossFitter or a bodybuilder or a sprinter or whatnot. We're becoming too defensive and too tribal.
Right, you got to pick a side.
Especially when it comes to nutrition and training.
Right, but I would tell somebody, if you're going to look into vegan or vegetarian or keto or pescatarian, before you do all that, I would say, work on, again, the soda, the chips, the cookie, the cake, the bread, the beer, the alcohol, the sweet drinks. I mean, you got to tackle that first, and then maybe months down the line, think about, okay, vegan, vegetarian, carnivore, whatever. I think so many, right, and then I don't know, there's another show, but they'll start taking powders and certain over-the-counter supplements. It's just like, I wouldn't, again, work on the soda and the sweet drinks and the alcohol first, and the cigarettes and all that jazz.
Exactly, because that's where I say, if people say that, I'm gonna go vegan because of health reasons, and I see a lot of vegans are eating a lot of processed food.
Again, bad.
They're still drinking a ton of soda, and then you have even people eating a lot of candy and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you start digging into, especially when we're talking about any a gummy or anything like that, there's usually a lot of animal products in them,
right,
things, but that's the thing, don't have things correct, and also have an understanding on why you're doing certain things, because I think that's it's the same thing when people say, I'm going vegan because I'm trying to save animals. Okay, but looking at what happens out in a farm when we're spraying, when we're all those things, we're killing, I don't know how many, but it's trillions and trillions of insects, for instance. We're seeing a lot of bird life gets killed, a lot of fawns and things like that, rabbits.
Yeah, I mean, right.
They die, and so I mean, there's so many ways, I mean, to see this thing, and I mean, you start digging in and back and forth and things like that.
Yeah, step at a time.
Yeah, and I think it's better to just focus on actually starting to like or like add in. Maybe you should just start adding in. Okay, I'm gonna eat a vegetable or a fruit to every meal, and I'm gonna see that I'm actually eating a protein source to every meal, and I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna start drinking more water, adding in more water, and that gonna remove maybe more soda, things like that. I think that is a more healthier like aspect of looking at it. And like you said, like not going cold turkey from one
Yeah, you
day
gotta
to
pace
another.
yourself, man.
Yeah, like look at long term, and that's why like we can say flexitarians. Like flexitarian might be good for a lot of people. You eating plant based, but again, it's like and this is also this funny because you're getting this like like the impossible burgers and
Oh
things
yeah,
like that.
more processed crap than you can shake a
Yeah,
stick at.
it's the most processed, one of the
Yeah,
most
not good.
processed foods out there, and you're like, well, okay, like yeah. So again, I when we're talking about all these different diets, the thing that I want people to understand is like do it, but do it for the right reasons. And another thing, you don't have to push your opinions on everybody else,
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's
For
another
you.
thing that like, well, you're doing it wrong and you're horrendous and whatnot, like
Yeah.
yeah, like isn't it better that we learn from one another and be
Yeah.
more acceptable? And so you
Yeah.
don't have to
There could
go
be things
around
you
and
can
telling
take. Right.
everybody that you're I'm a pastatarian, whatever,
Yeah.
fruitarian
Yeah.
or whatever.
Right.
Like
We all can learn from each other, little bits
yeah,
and pieces here and there, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
And
was
I
there
think
something was there something you wanted to add? You said you want to add it at the end.
no, that was more like I
Oh.
was saying, like with the diets, is that like people it becomes such a religious thing.
Yeah, it really does. It does.
It's
I mean, it's
yeah, stop doing it, because I think that also scares away a lot of people that might be interested. But when we're so aggressive and we're proclaiming certain things that are not true, or not, at least not science based, like it scares more people
Oh yeah, you're
away
not
from
bringing
it than
anybody to the
actually
light.
bringing them in.
100%. Yeah. I mean, and just live your life and people watch and they see, oh, wow, that person's healthy or they look
Yeah.
great. And if they ask you, right, you tell them, yeah, no, dude. Yeah. So, I mean, again, to each his own, but those are the big groups that we were talking about. Now, in closing, was there anything else that you wanted to add, Magnus, before we wrap this bad boy up?
No, again, it's like everything works until it doesn't work. Like just and it's fine to try different things out. Be your own detective. Figure out what works for you. It's like you don't have to follow this like whatever specific diets, like
Right.
it's
Every
better
human
maybe.
body is different and unique.
Yeah, and also like it's so much with mental aspect of it too.
Right.
You're better off of continuously trying to educate yourself and try new things and be open-minded.
Right. 100%. All right. So that's it, folks. You heard it here. So do what works for you, and everybody is unique into themselves. Some people need a little bit more of this or a little less of that,
Yeah.
but awesome.
Please
Okay.
give us comments if you are currently on one of these specific diets, or if you're doing something else, or if you have been. We want to know. We want to know about what worked for you, how long it worked, and what was good, what was bad.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let us know. I want to hear the feedback, folks. Do it. Okay, everyone. I'm signing off. Magnus, as always, thank you, my man. Excellent.
Thank you,
Thank you for the
Anthony.
info. Everybody, have a good rest of the week. Got a bunch of great shows coming up.